Hi, everybody, and welcome to EDU 605 for Spring B. This is a very special topics in education course. So I want to thank you for taking this course. Special topics are kind of course that's really important to me that we offer. It allows us to approach material in a slightly different way than you might in other courses. And this is the very first one that we have offered at Gratz for the graduate programs in education. So hopefully you know me. My name is Philip Moore, and I am the director of the MED and the MS in teaching practice and the Masters Plus programs. So in that role, I am technically your academic advisor. And I also look at the student list. I see that I've had some of you in class and hope to see you again in the future. So I'm just on here to start this off and to introduce our extra special professor for this course, Dr. Paul Finkelman. And I know Paul will tell you about himself, but I will say that in his illustrious career, he has been a professor, he has been a college president, he's currently serving as chancellor of Gratz College, and he is a prolific writer, including on this very topic that this course is about. So I can think of no one better to create a course on this subject and to be our very first special topics course. So with that, I'm going to hand it over. Paul, welcome and hello.
Thank you. So first, let me say something about myself. I have a PhD in United States history. I specialized when I wrote my dissertation on the history of law as it related to American slavery. I later was a fellow at a law school. I don't have a law degree, but I did formally study law for a year. And about half of my career was spent teaching in history departments, usually teaching undergraduates and sometimes graduate students and doctoral students. And the other half of my career was teaching law students. So I was always the only non-lawyer on my law faculty, which was kind of fun. It's kind of interesting to be the outsider who everybody looks at you and says, why are you here? But I was there because I knew a great deal of legal history. I also taught the first year course in constitutional law. This course is designed to prepare you to understand what is an emerging difficult problem, not only in education, but also in American culture. What do we do with the historical baggage, we could call it, names, statues, flags, and other parts of our popular and civic culture that impact our lives on a day-to-day basis. This course will be different from some of your other courses in the education degree at Gratz because we are going to be dealing with 4 topics. We're going to spend 2 weeks on each topic. So it's going to move perhaps more slowly than some courses. And the idea is for you to really think very hard about what we're doing. Give you some examples of what we are thinking about. There has been a movement across the country to rename places, buildings, schools for new people because we don't appreciate the records of the people that they are named for. The obvious, easy example is the United States Army is now changing the names of all of the military forts named for Confederate generals. It has always struck me as very odd that the US Army would name a fort for somebody who, in fact, led soldiers in battle to kill US Army soldiers. And the fact that they may once have been in the US Army, that's not where their career ended. Their career ended making war on the United States. So that's an easy one. But what do you do with statues for Confederate heroes in the South? So that's one kind of question that's going to come up. The same thing comes up with flags. We have seen a number of states in the last few years stop flying Confederate flags, take Confederate symbolism off of flags. We will talk about this. The materials will show the evolution of flags. And we should think about what the flags mean. Why do we have flags? Why do states have flags? Why do cities have flags? Why do movements have flags? And what does it mean to have a flag? And how should we relate to flags? So these are the kinds of questions we'll be talking about: statues, naming, flags. We will end by talking about the use of mascots, and the use of people and individuals and nationalities for mascots. I couldn't have timed this better, because the Washington football team, which is what it's called itself for the past couple of years, has now decided they are the Washington Commanders. I'm not quite sure what they're commanding, but this is their way of finally stepping away from what was clearly a deeply racist and offensive name of a football team, the Washington Redskins. The Cleveland baseball team is trying to figure out what it is calling itself, but it's no longer the Cleveland Indians. On the other hand, the Atlanta Braves are still the Atlanta Braves, and the Kansas City Chiefs are still the Kansas City Chiefs. So we can think about this and talk about this and figure out what it means, and what it means for your school, the college you went to, the teams you root for, the teams your students root for. And we're going to talk about this at some length. This is a course that is going to deal with hard stuff. This is not easy. There are many people who are deeply invested in a statue, a name, a flag, their street name. And there are some people who seem to think that these things are almost sacred, that if we put up a statue, that it should be there forever. A town name should be there forever. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do in class is to think about town names, to think about city names, to think about streets, the names of your school. Why were they named in these ways? And how do you teach that to your students? Part of this course is about simply giving you ammunition, giving you information, getting you ready to face questions that will come from students, that may come from parents, that may come from school boards, that may come from administrators. And all of you have to be prepared to cope with this. And so that's part of the process. In many cases, there are no right answers. I happen to have some strong views on some names and some statues and some monuments. But on the other hand, I'm not here to advocate for a position one way or another. I will tell you briefly a little about me and how I got into this, teaching this class. A few years ago, I wrote a book on the Supreme Court of the United States and slavery. And in doing the research, I discovered that Chief Justice John Marshall, often known as the Great Chief Justice, owned hundreds of slaves and literally bought and sold people his whole life. But no biographer had ever seemed to notice this. No biographer ever wrote about it. And I think it's because biographers either didn't care to investigate it or didn't want people to know about it. Or in one case, a biographer told me, he said he didn't think it was very important because he was only interested in the decisions the justice wrote and not his personal or financial life. But of course, they meld together. So I wrote all about this, not to attack John Marshall, not to say you should take statues for John Marshall down, but simply to say that we have to confront our history. One odd result is that John Marshall Law School in Chicago, where I had lectured many times and had lots of friends teaching there, is no longer John Marshall Law School. They changed the name of the law school, and they did it in part because of my scholarship. I didn't intend that. I didn't advocate for it. When people asked me, should John Marshall change its name as a law school, my answer was always, that's up to them. But I always said it's a teaching moment. If you don't change the name of the law school, you should at least teach about the good as well as the bad of the people that we honor. And so that's part of the process that we're going through. One other thing about my class that you'll find that's different is I'm going to be asking you to do forum posts. I'm going to be asking you to write forum posts, but my forum posts are not targeted. I don't say, you've read this, how would you apply this to your class? I'm asking much more open-ended questions because what I want is for our forum posts to become a true class discussion. We are online, but we can still have a real, open, honest, perhaps head-banging class discussion. I'm not going to give you a grade on your forum posts. Your grade is going to be determined by a paper at the end of the course. I'm expecting you to participate in forum posts. And if you don't participate in forum posts, that might lower your grade in the course. But it is not about grading you, because in many cases, what you're going to be writing about is not something that's gradable. Because if I ask you, how do you feel about this? That's not I can't grade your feelings, but I want us to be able to have open and honest discussions. Some of the forum posts are going to require some research. I'm going to ask you to research in one forum post the name of your town, the name of your county, the name of your school. And this, I hope, will prepare you to teach about this, because these are things that you can assign to students at any grade level. Maybe not kindergarten, but certainly from, say, second or third grade on, you can assign students to investigate things about their town, about their community, about their county. And so that's some of the things that we will be discussing in the forum posts. One more thing, it's a small class. I will give all of you my cell phone number. You will all have my email address. My email address is pfinkelman@gratz.edu. That's pfinkelman@gratz.edu. My cell number is 518-605-0296. And if you didn't have a pencil when you heard this, I'll say it again, 518-605-0296. You should feel free to contact me during the course, and contact me sooner rather than later. Don't contact me in the 8th week and say, I don't know what to write my paper on. Contact me in the 2nd or 3rd week and say, I'm thinking about my paper topic. Can you help me out? Because this is what graduate education is all about. So I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to sharing this experience with you. Teachers often say, we learn from our students. This will be an example of this for me. I will learn from you. You will learn from me. We will learn together, and we will come out of this with a better understanding of a problem that the nation faces that's going to come into your classrooms sooner or later. Thank you and good luck.